everybody. Welcome to the first of whatever this is.
Yeah.
And I dropped my phone. Let me try that again.
Keep it.
You're recording this. This is all for you.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the first of whatever this is. We're kind of the other fellows on YouTube. I'm Nicholas Slayton.
Yeah. I'm Adam Roscoe.
And we're here to talk about Bond and life.
Absolutely.
We've known each other for more than a decade. We're buddies.
I mean, the last San Diego Comic-Con, so like the good one, the big one, was 2007 for me.
Yeah.
Like
I was not old enough to drink then. As
here we are.
White Claw and some Black War rum.
Yeah.
And now we've sort of reconnected in the last few months, talking all things Bond ahead of No Time to Die.
It's been a year of Bond chatting, I think,
which
amongst
is
the entire.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Especially in all of this pandemic life.
Oh yeah, I mean we've been sitting around a lot, and like they've been on Amazon. They were on like for a long time during this pandemic. I had them on in the background on Pluto, which is just like some free TV thing. So like whatever movie's on, just have it in the back. And so I ended up rewatching all the movies that I thought I didn't like, and then finding like new appreciation for them.
Yeah, that's what's been nice. And like I have some people who moved into my house, and we were checking out, and they hadn't really seen Bond, and so I was sort of introducing them to these things. We've gone through like 2 Connerys, we saw GoldenEye, we saw a few more of a Craig era stuff, trying to get them into seeing some Lazenby, who is the best.
Yeah. And it's a Christmas movie. It's a Christmas movie, so I watch it every Christmas season, like the group of friends. Like it's our thing. I was hoping to make some sort of 50th anniversary screening at one of the theaters here in Portland, but hopefully for one of the 50th anniversaries of something else, like Live and Let Die is coming up. So
that's true. Not bad. You have Man for Golden Gun.
Yep. And it's been a weird year of also discovering this whole Bond community. Like I watched a little bit of it, the YouTube stuff, and we had a lot of time to sit around and talk. And we had this movie dangled in front of us for a year and a half. Like I remember being at work on that. It was like the Friday the 13th of March. And like I work in production, and it was pencils down, go home. And my first thought was, they're gonna move my Bond movie that I'm getting in like 2 weeks. Like and it just kept being pushed and pushed and pushed until like it was surreal watching it on the screen a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. I've been back to the movie theater a few times, but I went I luckily got an early screening at Mann's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. I was surprised it was actually in the theater, and so IMAX screen, packed house, again a little weird, but like just being in that moment of people who were excited for a Bond film. It was great. I mean, like every movie I'd seen before and hadn't had that sort of like excitement or like collective energy,
Yeah. And it was in my screening, it was, you tell it was fans of the entire gamut of like, they're like, you tell like new people that like, were tagged along with friends as their very first time. I went with a friend who had just started watching them. Like she had seen like 3 Connerys and is just starting to go through them. And a lot of like diehards, or like one guy, and it wasn't me, like cheered very loudly at the gun barrel.
There was some applause for that for sure.
I
think I remember hearing like the first time they say, and I want to get into this later, but the first time Craig says, "We have all the time in the world." I know I was in my head going, "Oh my goodness," but someone was like, "Oh," you can see like an audible like excitement.
This movie, I was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I wasn't shouting, but I was pointing at the screen constantly, like, oh that, like just little tiny details, which is like I think that this whole movie was. Which like I think you saw on Twitter, like I posted something like, this has more in common with Die Another Day than any other Bond movie.
It really does.
But like so subtly. Only for like super fans are like, oh, that background, like he's not Dr. No, but that background looks like Dr. No's lair.
Yeah.
Under
The Ken
construction.
Adams design, like I got issues with Safin and all of his stuff, which we'll get into, but the Ken Adams design is awesome. Like,
I have theories about Ken Adams design. Like for Bond movies going forward, we got to stop trying to do Ken Adam and just be the next Ken Adam. Like take it even further. Stop trying to be the old sets and make the new sets.
Because the last time they sort of did it was like Quantum of Solace with that Eco Hotel, which, you know, they partly use a real place, which is awesome. And you can look up the European Space Organization's place in the Atacama Desert, and it kind of is naturally Ken Adams. They sort of added to that. But this, they full on Pinewood Studios, you know, did it, and I liked it. It was kind of like, why? But it was cool to see.
I liked it.
But and that's kind of a lot of a movie.
Yeah,
like I liked it a lot. It was one of those movies that like started strong and kind of kept going. It's just like the last like 30 minutes are, I feel like, going to be divisive going forward.
Oh, completely. I mean, yeah. And my feeling of the movie, like as like a longtime Bond fan, and I feel like part of the reason like I wanted to do this with you so badly is because you seem like a fan. Like we're comic book nerds, and that's how we became buds. But like comic book nerds and like who've been following these things all the time, and like James Bond fans, we kind of like it because it's gone on for so long, and because like it changes with the times. And you know, Bond's been around for now 60 years. Batman's been around for like 70 years or something.
80.
Right? 80. Oh my god.
I know. We're
but
getting
like,
old.
I like the Dick Sprang as much as I like the Frank Miller. Like I like the whole gamut, warts and all. Like there's something interesting about it. And Bond's just like that. And I feel like this new one is just one that will be put in the library, and we'll keep going back to it and endlessly debate it for fun.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's basically, we're just shy of the 60th anniversary of Cinematic Bond. You know, this is Craig's last film, and it's his last film. Yeah, definitely. And it's not just like, oh, we're recasting. It's a big one. Heads up, people, we're doing spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, turn off now, go to the movies, or just spoil yourself.
And
we'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, my main take when I've seen it twice, I mean, we've both seen it twice, is that this is a big movie. Not just in terms of like, especially compared to the other Craig films, but like, it's like, they're going for meatier acting, they're going for bigger stakes, they're trying to do like, you know, Bond's a formula. I mean, it kind of is at some point, you know.
Oh yeah.
You got the gadgets, you got to have a womanizing, you got to have the villain has to have a lair or something like that. And they've kind of played it a little bit in the Craig era, like a few layers, or like, you know, Casino Royale is like a post-climax ending. Yeah. But like, this is big.
Bond movies have boxes. You have to check the boxes. And I feel like a lot of Bond fans, like, because everyone looks at it differently. They all came in at a different point in time. So their personal boxes are different. There are certain boxes that everyone can agree on. But then a lot of people, they're like, oh, well, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. Oh, the gun barrels at the end. Well, I don't like that. But it's like, well, we kind of have to make new boxes. We're going to check the boxes, but it's boring when you're not making new ones. And I think the Craig era definitely made a lot of new ones. But at the same time, this was the end of his run. And part of what I really liked about it was they kind of scorched the earth. Yeah. And that's why I was totally fine with it. Because like I could tell, like Barbara Broccoli, like I can't speak for her or Michael Wilson, but it's like we have to blow it up and nuke it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure that we can't go back. We can't go back and mine that well. It's done.
They opened the bomb doors, made sure that counterweight was down, and fired those missiles.
Yeah. So like you have to start new. You have to have a fresh take on it. And like I kind of like that creative decision. And when they killed Felix, that's what like my first hint of like, oh shit, like they're doing things that are definite. And then once they killed Blofeld, I was like, oh, they are nuking this thing. And I was like, kind of half expecting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. No, I was just saying. Like, I mean, along those lines, like, I mean,
just I thought they were in a Dark Knight Rises it, and like that would have really pissed me off. Like, yeah, they thought they blew him up, and then Madeline and what's Mathilde are in the car, and like I was expecting like Daniel Craig to pop up from the back seat. Like, what are you guys talking about? Like,
yeah, well, like did you ever see Extraction? This is off topic of Chris Hemsworth movie, Extraction.
No, I haven't. No.
They do a sort of thing where like seems spoilers for Extraction. We can cut this part. But like they do a whole thing. Looks like the guy is dead, and the very last shot is like the kid he's been trying to protect is like swimming. And he pops out of a pool, and just it's like the last room is like a frame long shot, but in the background it's like some guy in like sunglasses and a hat, and it's not Chris Hemsworth. We don't know for sure. It's like it could have been, and it's like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah,
you're doing that
kind of cheap. It's like you're doing it, but you're not.
Yeah, and like I mean, on an artistic level, the way. Now I'll get into this later. I have huge issues of him using the Louis Armstrong song at the end. You can quote All the Time in the World. You cannot use that song because for romantic relationship did not, and I'll get into that as well. But like
there was a Cary Fukunaga interview that came out, I think this morning, of the decision behind it. And it was a Daniel Craig decision. So just fucking go for it. And I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. We could talk about the song right now if you want.
Well, I mean, like the ending with the gun, like going into the tunnel, sort of mimicking the gun barrel, I thought was a beautiful artistic moment. Sort of it really caps off because like every Craig film has had a different gun barrel, or they throw allusions to it. Fine, cool. Yeah. It's just that song is like so. Like the Tracy Bond romance is so well done. I think we both love On Majesty's Secret Service.
Yeah.
And while Madeline Swan and Bond were much better this movie, there was like definitely like much better connection, much better interplay.
Oh, absolutely.
It still didn't feel as earned.
I feel you. Yeah. In fact, like if you were to put, everyone thinks that the end of On Her Majesty's Secret Service, like the music cue at the very end is like very out of place. There's the bullet through the windshield, and then it's like huge John Barry theme that's like very just like pow and adventurous at this very somber bit. I'm glad like they should have used that at the end of this one. Where it's somber. Let me tell you the story about James Bond, and it kind of drifts off. But James Bond will return.
Yeah, different actor.
Yes,
but he will return.
The character will return. It's like part of the anger that I see people have, and I'm like, you've clearly never read a comic book. This is just the end of the next volume. We're gonna have a new writer-artist team coming, a new #1, and it's gonna be great. Like,
yeah. And it's not as if like they haven't ended the continuity of one James Bond. Like, I mean, if you consider Connery to Bros in one long story, which it kind of is.
Yes,
I mean, exactly. Die Another Day made that very clear.
Yes,
this is simply volume 2, and they scorched the earth, as you said, and they did.
And you can't go back. I think a lot of the nods, I think that we're done with that. I feel like No Time to Die was just as much an anniversary movie as Skyfall and Die Another Day, with the nods. And I'm like, okay, we're done with nods. And if you say you're done with nods and your final nod was the song All the Time in the World, that's fine.
Yeah.
If
at least for like 3 movies.
Yes. If that's it.
And like what they did, which like, I mean, they did take a lot of stuff from the You Only Live Twice novel with Safin's plot, with the ending, with some of the stuff of Kid, like really well done. You can do that. Like we make some moments, we make some Fleming ideas. Just don't give me the wink and nod to, hey, remember this?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like my favorite nod was with Nomi in Jamaica. She takes her wig off, just like Rosie Carver in Live and Let Die. And I'm like, another agent, and she's Black, and she's in Jamaica. And I'm like, nobody notices that but us.
I forgot that reference, because for one, they got me because, well, Roger Moore is his movies are not my favorite except for Your Eyes Only, and my favorite Your Eyes Only moment is kicking the car off a cliff. And here is that scene of Ash in Norway.
Yeah.
And of course, it's to avenge another agent. The guy is dangling, and he gives that brutal whack, and it's just so perfect.
And I feel like that's kind of only hardcore fans are going to notice that, and new fans or people who are just getting into the series like, oh, that was really brutal. It's like, well, that's actually kind of how a Bound trope. Like that's now one of the boxes.
Yeah. Smith and Wesson, you've had your 6, bang, 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 bang. But let's sort of get in the movie, because I sort of said it's like the media sort of like big movie. Like I feel like it's the best since Casino Royale that Craig has done, just sort of as Bond, like what he's been had to play with.
Oh yeah.
And like, I mean, everything about it from like when we first see him sort of in retirement. I know there's a whole pre-trial in retirement. Like, one, I've lived in a retirement community. I'd rather go to Bond's place in Jamaica. Oh, that's the dream. Also like him drinking some Black Roll rum. Yes. But he really got a lot to play with, and some people may have some issues with the whole Bond as a parent thing. I kind of liked it when it wasn't his at first when they said that, but I thought he was really good and had really cool moments, but also some really like badass moments.
Oh, absolutely. And this was a movie that they tailor, like, you know, I always think that the Bond movies are kind of bespoke by just what they are, but they tailored this whole film around him. Like, everything is very secondary. Like, even though like the Madeline and Matilda story is very front and center and it kind of bookends the movie, it's still very much like this is a once in a lifetime movie for I think him as like an actor of just like, I'm gonna go balls to the walls. And people, when I first read like non-spoilery reviews, they were just like, he does the best and he does some of the worst. And I'm like, I didn't see anything I didn't really like. Like, I thought it was fine. I thought at least most of the performance was good to excellent.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know, I mean, I actually love a pre-title sequence a lot. I mean, the whole opening scene of Safin and when Matilda's a kid, Madeline's a kid, really well done. Sort of the tension, the drama of the way it's sort of shot. Like when he pops up, it's like very jarring, and you feel like how she would feel. But then when you get to Matera, like you get to see Craig, you know, be funny, be romantic, and he gets to just be really betrayed. You see like the anger in his face, and also Craig has kicked ass this whole. I mean, like Quantum of Solace is great fights, but horribly edited. But two of the best fights in his entire tenure were the two fights with Primo or Cyclops, like in Matera, and then at the end in the hallway.
Oh, totally.
And like brutal, and finally he like kind of looks around, it's like, oh, a motorcycle. Like you could see, like you always see sort of the gears turning in Craig's head as Bond, which I love.
Oh, big time. Yeah, I feel it is better than like if you have any complaints about like, oh, he can't do the one-liners or his humor's off. I'm just like, you can have that. You can have those criticisms, but his non-verbal acting is the best of any Bond in the series, in my opinion. Excuse me. I burped some White Claw. You know, Connery had the movement, Roger had the charm, you know, Lazenby had the rough around the edges. Dalton was just, you know, head to toe perfect.
Smooth.
And like,
Brosnan had great, like, you know, non-verbal, you know, Die Another Day. Horribly written, brilliantly, like, physically done. But Craig really nails it more than anyone else.
I'd love to do an episode of this with you when we talk about Die Another Day, because that movie is endlessly fascinating to me.
Guess what, viewers? That's coming. Oh, yes. We're going to talk about it. We're going to drink more, too.
Yeah. Cheers.
But yeah, no, I mean, it's really well done. And like, you know, you see, I mean, the banter with Felix is so good. Like just those two, like, that was one of the best parts of Quantum of Solace is those two having a beer and just bickering and bantering. And then like them in a drinking scene in Jamaica and hang out. Like even before Felix, right before the bomb goes off, it's like, I got this more of a second viewing, you know, Felix is like bleeding out, looks all serious, and Bond so stops to say, we gotta stop hanging out like this, which is just such a great, like it says so much in that line. And
because I mean, how many
MI6,
times outside of the films have they hung out? You know, like I tried to think, I was like, have they not even seen each other since Quantum of Solace? Like that could be very well possible.
Yeah, the implication is they've done a lot more stuff, and they sell it, which is great. That's one of the things about the acting. Like you instantly get that these guys have been like friends for ages.
Yeah,
but and you know, I mean, just the transition of, it's so funny. People made such a big deal about, you know, the RTT jacket, which is a great jacket, but like Bond gets back, he's got that outfit on for like 5
Blink
seconds.
If you miss it.
Yep, puts on the suit, gets in Dalton's Aston Martin, same license plate, looks so cool, and that's like his backup car, I guess, and just takes off. No, it's great. Like from head to toe, I think Craig is great, and just so many good moments. But then you have, this is Craig's last movie. He's got to go out for bang, and he goes on a big movie. But he's going up against, I think, the weakest villain he's faced inside. Like, and
it was such a
like Quantum of Solace. I like Dominic Green.
He was okay. I mean, it was enough.
Lucifer Safin, Ami Malek.
It was such a waste of Rami, and I really feel that there's a lot of quality material that was shot, but they couldn't have a 4-hour movie. You know, it's like, this movie's already teetering on 3 hours, and I can't see like a chunk we could take out to do more building up of Safin, but like he was just sort of when he had this great introduction, and like the first scene with him, like this guy is cool. I like the scarring. I like the use of the mask. Like, okay, where's this going? And
yeah,
he didn't age at all.
Yeah. Oh, also they played up. Oh, it's Bond versus the younger villain. No, he's like supposed to be like in his late 50s if you look at the timeline.
Yeah, and part of me in the watching trailers and stuff, and just thinking about the movie, like, oh, what's it going to be about? Is I saw that that was probably going to be a pre-title sequence in the snow. So maybe I thought the scheme with Safin was going to be like some sort of immortality thing. I thought that'd be a great, metaphoric thing for the Craig's last movie.
Your skills die with your body, mine will live on forever.
Right. I really thought that it was going to be something like, oh, you can make something that either it's like the Grail in Indy, like the right person you live forever, the wrong person die instantly, and the Garden of Death is how you make the thing. And that was just my imagination.
And I mean that's so strange because like you meet this guy and you have this wonderful brutal revenge story that apparently takes 30 years to complete entirely. It's funny because like we meet Spectre going back all the way back to Connery, and then From Russia with Love you have a great bit of Unseen Blofeld talking about we're pitting the East versus the West and we'll be there to take up the pieces. And so the implication is sort of that Safin's going after Spectre and sort of been a war between them for years that Craig sort of stumbles into or Bond stumbles into. Right. But like Safin just sort of like waits a while and somehow has the resources to like get Ash on his side and all this other stuff. And he knows what he was already working with Dr. Oberchev, aka Boris from GoldenEye, if annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went because I saw it a second time and I was like, Safin only really has 4 or 5 scenes, maybe. He has like the pre-title sequence, the scene with Madeline. Mm-hmm. He very, very briefly shows up in the Norway fight scene, no dialogue, and then we just have like basically 2 or 3 scenes on Poison Island where he's talking to Madeline, he's talking with Bond, and then the final showdown with Bond.
Right.
And I could not get a handle of we don't get a sense of what his scheme is, aside from he steals Heracles, he's an nanobot DNA targeting thing, and he's going to apparently sell him off to highest bidder because there's those boats coming in. That's
boring. Like to me, that's just like, hey, another person that's like $1 million. Like
yeah, and he wants to make the world tidier, but it's unclear when. It's like, why have you been waiting on this? There's a throwaway line right when he's fleeing with Matilda. Matilda runs off, and one of his like bodyguards, who then vanishes, says, "We're ready, doctor." And it's like, he's a doctor,
right?
And I keep thinking back to it. There's in the scene when he faces up with Bond, there's like 2 moments where he sort of seems to develop this like tick where he's like thinking so heavily he's trying to find the right words. He's like, well, right. Bond. And that's kind of interesting, like dynamic. Otherwise, he's just kind of quiet. And
that's why I think there's
maybe
a lot
going
of
for the Dr. No calm thing, but it doesn't work.
Yeah. I feel like they shot a lot more, wrote a lot more that just didn't make it. That would have explained or just built up Safin. But the way we're like talking about the scheme, it's like I think with any Bond movie we can utterly destroy it.
But like, I mean, there needs to be a sense of like what like all I could tell is that he just wants to be with Madeline Swan, I guess.
There's all of the everything with Madeline has been tell don't show. And
the only thing they show was something they already told us about in Spectre with shooting the assassin, Safin.
Right. Yes. And yeah, I feel like with Madeline and her backstory and like the Safin stuff helps. I think that the character was far and away better in this one. I kind of feel like if I was to show somebody the Craig era, I might skip Spectre. And like I think having no context, like to introducing, it's more raw Bond where like you don't get introductions to these characters. You don't know the backstory behind who Bond is macking on at the beginning of the pre-title sequence. It's always just something. He's on some mission. And I feel like that
you don't need
for a new viewer, that might help.
Yeah, she had a flashback like, okay, she's hiding something that Bond doesn't know about. Interesting. Okay, that actually adds to it. When having had her told him about Inspector, it's like she's so much better in this movie, but still like not the best. Love it. Like it's also funny because like they don't have Bond like, you know, even in like Quantum of Solace and Skyfall, Bond, you know,
Yeah.
what's about some other people, and there's like some other things like Paloma, nothing there. Nomi, it's this weird sort of like bickering. They don't quite like each other, but they don't really fully develop that whole
thing
thread
at the end. Yeah,
it's Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yeah, which I loved Nomi. I loved Paloma. I loved Nomi. I thought any hater was like, oh, it should be 007. I'm like, man, she as an actress, she earned that, and that was really cool.
It's just a number.
I thought the handing it back to Craig was a little like too flippant. I thought like honestly, I thought I would have put money on this. I thought they were going to kill Nomi, and her line would be, "Well, what do you expect? We have a very short life expectancy." Like,
and see, I'm glad they didn't. But if they did, like, that would have actually been a pretty fair callback, you know.
But like, part of me is like the fact that like she didn't die. It's like I wonder if any new fans are just like, "Well, why can't we have a Nomi and Paloma movie?" Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, that's all. Some of always the fun moments are when you see the other double O's, like Thunderball, Not Enough, the pre-title sequence of GoldenEye. Like, it's nice to see like that Bond is not the only badass out there, and she does like 00 stuff, disguises, seduction, like
especially with other double O's, we usually just see them get killed.
Rest in peace, whoever it was that died a man for Golden Gun.
We died at we killed 004, 002, 00 in Living Daylights,
twice.
Right? 006 twice, and 009 was in Octopussy, right? This is in the cloud.
Yeah, and then there was one that gets killed and was not enough by Renard.
I want to meet 001.
I'm sure he's a very boring individual.
Right, yeah, loneliest number.
Or just find like the most like British man possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Rufus Sewell as 001.
Oh, that's mean to Rufus Sewell. He's a great actor.
I know, it's true. We like Rufus Sewell.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Let's just get somebody else. But yeah, no, it's the way they handled the MI6 00 stuff was really good. I love Ben Winshaw's Q, and I think this is some of the best stuff he's done. Because it was like he was still mission control, but he got to give the gadgets. He got to do like, in his drawer of stuff on the plane is a full tea set. Like, there's fun stuff there, and his sort of like they fully had the Bond Q dynamic down. Like, one of the best moments is just Bond and Moneypenny ruining his date night, and Bond hands Moneypenny the wine, and Moneypenny is all in on just fucking with Q.
Oh yeah. No, that whole dynamic, like Ben Whishaw has made that role his own. I hope they don't lose him. Like, if I got to keep one of the MI6 team to go forward, I mean, I'm kind of in between on whether I want all of them to. It especially depends on who they get for the next Bond. Like, would it be a good match for Naomi Harris? Would it be a good match for Ralph Fiennes? But keep Ben Whishaw, please. I would love to see Ben Whishaw like Desmond Llewellyn and just do it forever. Huh?
Yeah, he's in his pajamas in the finale.
Oh, yeah.
I missed that the first time. Like, Naomi's line about waking him up, and no, he's literally in pajamas. It's so great. It feels like something Desmond would have done. But like, speaking of the MI6 stuff, though, the one sort of big flaw of that, like, you get they started with Judi Dench. You get an actress like Judi Dench, you want to use her. That's why she got bigger parts as the films went on.
She's just great. It's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
And they've been doing it with Fiennes, but then like here, like the Heracles thing is like, hey, M developed this secret thing that fell into our hands, and they try to play it up, and then there's no resolution. Like, this whole geopolitically tense. The Russians and Japanese are here, and like
there's no punishment for it.
Yeah. When Bond comes back to London, they have that whole like angry moment. My God, you're thirsty, I say as I down my drink. But like, it's really intense. And then the next scene they meet up like by the water, and Taryn shows up, and like, it's classic M and Bond. Like, it's like, there was ever like, oh, we worked out our angle, now we're gonna work things out. It's just like, no, Bond storms out, and next thing you know, oh yes, let's talk. How are we doing? Welcome back, 00.
Yeah.
Welcome back, 00. 00 something. 00 what?
One.
Bond. Yes. No, it was a very strange scene, though.
It was, and what made it stranger was laying On Her Majesty's on top of it. They put the John Barry right on it, and it's like, it's part of like the point I have about like, people meet Bond at different times, and they hold certain things sacred and certain things not sacred. They wanted to play with certain things in the toy box that a lot of us are just like, ooh, you can't touch that. That's that bit of music, and you better get it right. And that was one where I'm like, Yeah, you didn't have to do that. You just like the music, but you're robbing another movie of its good stuff. I wouldn't, just steal Tomorrow Never Dies' music just because it sounds cool.
Why not do an instrumental version of You Know My Name? Like if you're going to do all the callbacks, if you're going to make it Craig's last film.
Oh yeah, there's a John Barry Bond theme they never used in the Craig era.
Yeah,
and it's an action theme
James
that
Bond theme, not the 007, but yeah,
they never used it.
I thought that was so weird.
Which one of these used it more?
I think the last time used it was Live and Let Die or Golden Gun.
Yeah,
like it's been like ages, and you like why
that's not sacred. You can use that in anything. Yeah,
it's like using
individual movies themes that have nothing to do with it, other than it's a Bond film that has finality, like On Her Majesty's does, and very much like Bond is over it. He is retired. He's in love. Mm-hmm. Those themes follow through, but yeah, it just didn't seem, again, not earned.
Well, yeah, I mean, they use the Vesper theme in the pre-title sequence in Matera, which totally deserved. Things like if you're going to make it Craig's last film, why not call back to more Craig musical moments? Which, okay, we're talking music. We got to talk the credit scene and the title sequence. Before we get into the music, I just want to say I've seen it twice now.
Yeah,
utterly incoherent design in the credits.
So weird because Danny Kleinman is so good.
There's a DNA theme, which I only caught the second time. There's clocks because of time. Okay. Right. There's a brief moment, like they're walking on the clocks, and it's like, okay, it's vaguely like the design from Casino Royale with the card and the silhouettes and like
and the second hands were the hearts.
Yes, and then they do a little bit of, they do the Albion Britannia Trident thing, which is like, you see that with Versailles on the QDAR.
Yeah, but I DiCaprio'd at they did Dr. No Dots at the very beginning.
Yes, that was cool.
And I was just like, oh, he's Dr. No. Dr. No, done. But like you show that imagery, you can't just use it because it's cool. You gotta make it mean something. And like using the On Her Majesty's theme, it's like, it's dope. That's why we like James Bond. But like, make your own stuff, or if you're gonna rip it, you have to really, really show us why.
Yeah. And unfortunately, for Craig's last movie, I found the title song to be massively underwhelming. It felt the same way as the Sam Smith theme.
They just did Skyfall 3 times.
They did Skyfall 3 times with like, these singers are not Adele. Adele can do that.
No, I know, but they have very similar like vibe. They're slower. They're a little moody. I was hoping when Cary Fukunaga got the job, like it was one of his first interviews, he was just like, "Oh yeah, my favorite song is "A View to a Kill" by Duran Duran," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. We're gonna get a big fucking like pop song."
Well, when Danny Boyle was signed on, I was like, "Oh, Underworld doing the theme? I'm in."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which, I mean, and it's also funny because when Danny Boyle was signed on, this is a what if could have been, but like, he wanted Thomas Kopp from Cold War as a villain, who's going to be a Russian oligarch, and Lyutsifer Safin, even though he's played by an Egyptian American, is apparently Russian, like Eastern Russian with a Japanese fetish. So still a Russian villain, but but yeah, the song was not as good. The lyrics about betrayal and that work, but just it felt lifeless, and like, it's a shame because you kick off a Craig era with Chris Cornell's "You Know My Name." You have such a statement of a song, a revitalization of a franchise. You end with a moody but more sort of like low energy song.
Yeah.
And then you hear, Louis Armstrong at the end, which is such an even better song. And it's like,
it's still a downer. Like, it's not a downer, but it's somber. And its positioning is to be somber. And I was really hoping for a big bombastic, like, if You Know My Name was, I mean, that was all rock, but I was hoping for more like Tom Jones or something like that. A Man with a Golden Gun, which is like, it's an okay song. Or I'm sorry, Live and Let Die. That'd be the one I want. I thought he was gonna do like a big
or something fun like Diamonds Are Forever.
Sure. Yeah, it's just
weird film, great song.
Yeah, I didn't want another depressing song. So
yeah. And I mean, that's kind of No Time to Die as a whole for me. It's gorgeously shot. It's trying to break the formula. Was taking those boxes.
One thing about the
big, it's
cinematography,
ambitious.
like I
Oh my
thought
goodness.
that guy. I hated Spectre. I hated the look. I hated the digital. Like it just was over. I felt like I was watching it with sunglasses on. And this movie, this cinematographer,
I
Sanderson,
know. I saw his name and I wanted to remember it.
Linus,
We'll add
not
in
Linus,
the
Linus, I
subtitle
think.
with it.
Yeah,
Something with it now. We'll throw this in at the bottom.
yeah. I love cinematography where every like atmosphere I felt the temperature. Like the temperature was perfect in every single one. Like you could smell and feel Cuba and Jamaica and Matera and like how cold it must have been at Saffin's lair. Like that guy is really good. I hope he comes back for another one.
Yes, bring that back. Bring back some of the production design. I mean, yeah. Oh, and I mean, it's funny because some of the costuming was also some of the weirdest of the Craig era. It was just such a more avant-garde. I mean, I'm here wearing this mock-up of the Commando outfit because it's a nice look. But I mean, yeah, the suit in Matera, like it's a nice suit and Craig wears it well, but it's just an odd look for Bond. The outfits in Cuba are great, the tux is great, but then you have a trench coat in Norway. It blends into, but still a weird look.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a strange sort of style, which is odd because otherwise
I don't want to
selling just Bond of
insult the costumer, but I mean the work is good. It's not as good as like Skyfall, even though I think Skyfall is going to look very dated as
Quantum
it
is the
ages.
most timeless of the looks. Quantum is a stylistic masterpiece.
Yes, Quantum has great costumes. Casino has shown its age. Skyfall, he's got the suits that are just like he's wearing a kid suit.
But then the pea coat in Shanghai, and then that
there's some things that are masterful. His look at the end of Skyfall is unbelievable. But I just felt like in this one it was a little overcooked. Like and I get he's Daniel Craig and he's a clothes horse, but like every single look, and I know he's James Bond, but just like was just a little overdone. But that could also come with the fact that we've been watching people put this shit on for a year and a half on YouTube.
And to everyone watching this who is into that, I support it.
No,
again,
we
look
love
at
you.
The outfit.
Big fan.
Some of you guys really nail it. It's just it's akin to Lazenby's odd brown golf outfit. It's akin to that really bad white suit Connery wears in Die Another Day, Diamonds Are Forever. It's just, it's Bond wearing it, but just feels off.
Yeah, even
I've lost your audio. Okay, you're back. You're back.
My audio?
You're back. You're back.
Okay.
We'll cut that part.
Yeah. Really had some awkward outfits, but whatever. His suits.
One of the best martini scenes. The drinking was great. I mean, that scene in Jamaica. I mean, Bond knocks back like 9 drinks in that night. It's amazing.
I always joke about the Craig era because when Casino Royale first came out, they made a big stink that James Bond's not going to smoke anymore. And I'm like, okay. He drinks and drives a shitload now. How many martinis did he have before he gave chase to Vesper? And then in Cuba, when it's like he's with Felix, I'm like, they drink and like he drives home. I'm like,
it's like 4 beers, 4 shots. He orders a scotch, downs a scotch, gets back with Nomi, pours a double Blackwell, which product placement aside is a delicious rum.
Right. He was already home by then, which is okay.
He's already home, but then after Nomi reveals she's a 00, he has another drink, and then he's up in the morning calling M. It's like, you've been up that all night drinking.
Island life, man.
Just he's that guy at 4 a.m. like, I'm gonna call my ex, but it's M, darling, how are you?
Yeah. After one too many. I thought the drinking was great. I loved. And people have talked about online so much about Paloma. I think a master stroke for the next movie is just bring her back to the Bond girl and don't explain it at all.
That would be fantastic. Or if she, I mean, I say again, restart the whole thing, bring back a new Felix. You can keep, the MI6 people, just new continuity, but
and Felix and Paloma could have that relationship that they talk about off screen, like he knows some great agent in Cuba that's going to help him out. But I would love to see that. And she even has a line like, I don't remember, it was like an "I'll see you again."
Oh yeah, you should next time you come by, stay a little longer.
Yeah, And I kind of like that. I think they kind of put that in there as like, just in case we do want to go back to that, we can. There's an opening.
Well, and it's funny because she felt, it's the movie has a whole big epic style, big finale moment. She has this like, no, this is just a mission. It's a fun thing, and
yeah.
And I hope that the next, and I'd love to talk to you going forward about what we want for like Bond 26.
Yeah.
In like the 10 years when it finally arrives, but like I want that sort of energy. But if we, I mean, movie's only 2 weeks out. We've seen it twice, I think, each. It's probably too soon to say rank it in all 25 films, but like, what's your like big thoughts on the movie?
So when it comes to like ranking and like the big thoughts, there's something that I feel we as Bond fans, we never talk about. And like the newest movie has to be looked at in like several different ways. Like it's always judged as like the newest one. So like, Quantum got a bad rep right out of the gate because it was so different and so short, and it didn't do certain things, didn't check the boxes. And I even remember Roger Ebert's review of just like, whatever this was, and I'm paraphrasing, like, whatever this was, don't do this again. And I know but see, the thing is as Quantum has aged, and now it's part of the greater library, we appreciate like, oh, this one was very, very different. And like, they took some risks, and now I appreciate those risks more than when it was the latest offering. When it was the one that's position was all the old movies were leading up to this new one. And like, we have to look at the newest movie in that regard. Like, how is it right now? And how do you feel that it's the latest and greatest? And then once it's part of the library, then where is its new vibe? And so like, we had Quantum, and then Skyfall was the reaction. And everyone was like, oh my God, Skyfall's so freaking awesome. So like, okay, well, we better make Skyfall 2. And they made Spectre. And we're like, well, I don't like that.
Yeah. And Craig was going to be done. And he had like a deal for like 2 more movies. He said he was going to be done. I'll slip my wrist if I do another one, which he's since retracted. But he's like, I want to do one last one, go out on a bang, or a boom, many, many, many big booms.
Yeah.
Spoilers again, friends.
And now we have a new latest movie that is the first where, I mean, you could say Diamonds Are Forever. It's like he knew it was his last one, but like, and one where the intention was, this is a finality. This is it, a culmination, a proper send off. So that's how I feel right now, and I think it excels. And like, I'm really glad that we got there, and like a Bond had closure. I appreciate that Eon just, said fuck it and blew it up. And I really hope that it was their way of like, we can't dip back into this. We have to try something totally new, and I hope they do. The whole Cray era was a reaction to Austin Powers. They had to, and also like the mid
and Bourne.
Yeah, but like the mid 2000s, the action movies, and like Britain was just rebooting stuff and making it like Doctor Who and Batman. They treated like all these old franchises like,
and it was also the launch of like the big epics. You had Gladiator just come out, Wolverines had just come out when Die Another Day came out, Harry Potter was kicking off. People were doing big serious things.
You had Who and Batman and Bond, who were like, they weren't dead, but they were starting to show their wear. But then it's like they redid it, and it's like the franchise went to college and smartened up a little bit, got a little more sophisticated.
Yeah, it took a gap year, went to college, and now it's straight on.
Yeah, and now I feel like, okay, we've done that. Let's do more fun. But like, as the next films come out, No Time to Die will now be part of the greater library. And then we can revisit from that perspective, 10, 15 years down the line. And that's part of the fun of being a Bond fan, is as they age, we like them in different ways. Like, people are like, kid, I love Moonraker. And then like, as they get older, like, oh, that kind of lame. But like, I during pandemic, I went and put it, Octopussy was at the very bottom of my list. Now I love that movie.
A lot of people, that's one I haven't revisited yet. I need to.
It is so much fun. It's a perfect Roger Moore film. And Yeah, I would. That's how. Right now, I love the film, and I'm curious to how my opinion will change
Mhm.
over the years, and even just weeks to come.
Yeah, I mean, even just for 1 week between reviewings I've had, I went in and be like, wow, holy, they killed Bond. They really just did it in the end. And now, seeing a second time, my thoughts is, Die Another Day was the anniversary film. It's a reference movie. That's all it is. Because Casino was a very clear mission statement where this is a statement, a reboot. We're doing it like,
Totally new
it's a great
thing.
movie on its own, but in the context, it is very clearly we're doing this for a reason.
Yes.
And then you have this, which is very much, it's like, yeah, they kill off Bond, yes, the last mission, but like we have a concept of this was the 6-year delay. This is delayed 3 times by the pandemic. This is Craig's last movie. This is the end.
Yeah.
James Bond return.
And all of those things go into our opinion of it. It's like, not when in 5-10 years when we look back on No Time to Die, I think more of my memory will be the buildup than the actual movie. Will be the anticipation than the actual movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think my lasting memory of this movie is going to be how great some of the fight scenes were. I mean, that stairway fight at the end, as weak as the last 30 minutes are, because Safin has henchmen and he doesn't, and just shows up and like gets within close range, and someone doesn't get thrown into the poison garden, which would have been the perfect like classic Bond dispatching of a villain. He just gets shot. Okay. I mean,
it was good arm break. I like that arm break.
I will say it's on second viewing, Safin is a terrible shot. He fires like 8 bullets and only 3 hit Bond.
Ooh, yeah.
He gets shot like once in the back, once in the arm, like once in the leg, and that's it.
He must have been a Star Wars stormtrooper in a previous life.
I mean, the only other person we see him really kill is, Madeline's mom with an AK-47 at close range, like a foot away. So,
yeah,
there's a reason he had henchmen, I guess.
Yep. So, for you, shall we wrap this up? What are your final thoughts?
Yeah. No, I mean, really well done movie that I applaud the ambition. I applaud what it tries to do. I think it's a gorgeous, mind-blowing action movie. Its flaws are more inherent to what it was trying to be and what some previous films had done. The portrayal of Blofeld, the Madeline Swan character as a whole, and they did good things with those elements, but there's still some weird baggage of that era. I think it gave Craig a good send-off, and I think this is one we'll revisit down the line, not in the context of, oh, we've only this long, but that was a chance for Craig to really show what he could do.
Yeah, totally. And hit it for one last good one.
Yeah. And now the wait begins for Bond 26.
Absolutely. I'm here for it. I always say that the anticipation is sometimes more fun than the movies themselves, especially with these.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And don't worry, friends, we'll be back long before Bond is. We shall return. Yes.